Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife, and this is the Spyderco Stretch XL Lightweight. So this is the lightweight version of the Stretch XL, which is obviously the larger version of the Stretch. And I got this knife because I've heard a lot of good things about it, and it was on sale at Knife Ship Free. I really like shopping at Knife Ship Free, and because I buy GECs there and things like that, I often have points. So I used some points for this also and got it for like a really low price compared to what they normally are. So I was really looking forward to it. I really like Spyderco's lightweight models. One of my favorite knives ever really is the Spyderco Police 4 lightweight. Really great knife. Just overall a really nice knife. And it's kind of similar, not a lightweight, but similar is the Andela. And I'm looking forward to some of their upcoming lightweight models, like the lightweight Native Chief or Native Chief lightweight. And they just announced a Magna Cut version of that also, so I might have to pick that up. So I was really looking forward to this knife. I really like the blade shape of the military, and this Stretch has a really similar blade shape to that on the military. So that's the military 2. You can see that the blade shapes are really similar. I'll show you a little better here as the camera's tilted. You can see that they are very similar. If I put one on top of the other, they almost have the same profile. Not exactly, but almost. And so I like that. And one of the things about the military, the original version of the military, and particularly the military paramilitary 2, was that the main grip area was always a little too small for me. It just didn't feel right. And this Stretch XL has a really nice big grip area that I knew would be big enough for my hand, even though my hand is pretty wide. And then you also get this forward finger choil like the military 2. And so I thought that I would like the handle, and I actually am a really big fan of FRN handles. I have an article that I will link up here to where I talk about why I like FRN, or injection molded plastic, whatever you want to call it, handles so much. I think that they're very practical. You can get really nice patterns, kind of textures in them. You can have different colors. They wear well. They're very lightweight. I'm a really big fan of them. So I like these, what Spyderco calls their lightweight knives that are in this FRN. And I was pretty disappointed when I first got this knife. So first of all, when I first got it, it continues to be pretty off-center. So it's not quite rubbing the line. There's no liners, but the handle, but it's pretty darn close. And I have adjusted this knife since getting it, which I'll talk about in a second here. But adjusting it, I could not get it centered. It just won't go centered. And not a huge deal. It's better for it to be off to this side rather than the other side, because when you push into the spider hole to open it, it's pushing it towards center rather than away from center if it was off center to this side. But still more off center than I would like to see. Now that said, again here, my military 2 is also off center towards that side. Let's see, I don't even remember if this one's pretty much dead center, but and that was the Police 4 lightweight. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that it was very difficult to open, very tight and rough opening when I first got it. So it was like, you couldn't flick it. You could not flick it one, handed like that, even with wrist action. Now I still can't really middle finger flick it, which, I can with this easily. But I can thumb flick it, without much. Well, there, didn't really work that time, but without a whole lot of wrist action. So it is smoother, and that's because I adjusted it. So I adjusted the pivot here, but you can see that it's only adjustable on one side, and I wouldn't say it has play, but it feels kind of bendy. So you can see how much that's bending. And it's interesting because I had to adjust it a lot to get the play out. There was a lot of play and it was, you know, I would get it so that it was smooth, but then there's a lot of play, and then I would tighten it so there was no play, and then it wasn't smooth. Now it's smooth enough to you know, what you might call a slow roll open, just pushing with your thumb. It's smooth feeling, but again, you can't flick it super well. But it did take a lot to get that play adjusted out, and it, you know, it's not the same thing on this knife. This knife, real solid. You know, not really any play there, particularly when locked. It's definitely solid. This one, when unlocked, definitely a little bit of play. You know, it's not terrible, but it's just where I decided to leave it. And then again, I want to show that again so you can see this here. Hopefully it'll focus. I mean, it like bends. Look at that. And I'm not putting a crazy amount of pressure into it. It's not like I'm gonna break it. It's just really bendy, and the reason for that is because there are no liners. This is linerless. So if you've had one of the old FRN, not the native 5 lightweight, but the old FRN natives, they were linerless also. I already had one, liked it, but got rid of it for, you know, non-practical reasons. And this is more like that. So whereas this Police 4 lightweight has liners, you know, they're milled out, they've got holes to make it lighter and all that. It does have liners, so it doesn't have that bendy feel. It feels a little more solid. This has no liners whatsoever. No washers that I can tell. They're just the FRN washers, so it's pretty bendy feeling. It is definitely lightweight. I mean, it's certainly a lightweight knife, but it's, you know, it has a different feel than the Police 4 lightweight. And honestly, you know, people talk about that, the flimsiness, the bendiness of like bug outs and things like that. I never really noticed it on the bug out, or the PM3 or whatever you call it, paramilitary 3. But I notice it a good bit on this, and I think it's because it is a larger knife. The longer the handle, you know, the more flex you get there. So didn't really love that. And then also the edges here of the inside of the blade well, the handle, had really kind of sharp burrs, and it was, you know, uncomfortable to hold without gloves on. I haven't used this knife a whole lot just because of all the issues it came with. Not really a big fan of it. Might give it away or sell it for super cheap or something. But it came with these really sharp burrs the whole way along the insides edges of the handles here. And so I sanded, kind of like filed those down and then sanded it. It's something that I actually have done on Endoras and then this Endella, because I don't like the humps that come, the finger kind of choil or whatever, finger groove humps. So I just file those down so that you can't feel the humps. But on this one, it was because of the you know, the burrs, the sharp edges on the insides there. So didn't really like that. I don't know if maybe their mold is getting old or something like that, but definitely wasn't comfortable and needed sanded down, for me anyway. Now, like I said, I haven't used this a whole lot, just because of all those issues. It seems to be well ground. I like Spyderco's VG10. It's easy to sharpen, doesn't rust very easily, holds an edge fine for me, and the blade, Spyderco normally does a good job of their blades, but this one, the edge is kind of wonky. That's another thing. So you can see that it's quite a bit taller here, you know, a wider bevel than it is up here. It's almost like it I don't know, they didn't hit the tip as much, or had it a little bit of a wider bevel. And then it's a completely different size on this side. So see again here the difference in the size of the bevel here on this side versus here. It's like twice as tall, maybe more actually. So Spyderco normally, you know, I've normally had good experiences with their edges. I've had a couple bad experiences, but this one is not very even seaming. So that's just another issue. So it came with a lot of things that I was not impressed by. again, got it for a really great deal from Knife Ship Free. I wanted to just carry and use it, so I didn't, you know, try to return it or get an exchange or anything. I probably should have, but you know, they've given me lots of good service in the past. I'm absolutely sure that they would have, you know, exchanged it had I asked, but I didn't ask. So it's, you know, it's my bad. All of these things are things that I really don't think that Spyderco would do much about. You know, I've already fixed the handle thing. I think that it's probably within tolerances for blade play and opening, and the edge. You know, they'd probably just sharpen it, and who knows if it would come back with a more even edge or not. And I don't know, I would say probably the centering they wouldn't see as a huge issue either. So I probably won't send it into Spyderco. But you know, it is what it is. Not every knife can be good. I'm glad, I'm happy that I got it for such a good deal from Knife Ship Free. And you know, they can't all be winners. But I hope you have enjoyed this video, even if I haven't enjoyed the knife as much as I hoped. And if you have, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Click the bell, select all, whatever. Subscribe to the channel so you see when I have new videos. Check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.